Hi there guys and girls, welcome back to Kitchen Table Modelling. So I thought, now I've had my surgery and whatnot, go back to an old classic, Churchill Mk7 by Tamiya. This one's got some crew in it and whatnot, so let's have a look. So this being a Tamiya kit, straight out the bat you can say yes, it's a pretty good kit. Okay, so got a few little extras, crew, farmer by the looks of it, decals, so some lovely clear bits, some lovely decals. Tamiya decals, never had a problem with them in the past, so not expecting any issues. Main hull and front fenders, nicely stamped. Quite an old kit this one, but she's still a good one. A little bit of damage there, but that'll be alright. But overall, not looking so bad. Rubber band tracks, nice and simple. What have we got in here? We've got spare track links, dry sprockets, road wheels, upper engine deck parts, rear stowage bin, tow rope, a bin that goes on the back of the turret, lower hull. Not really much to say about that, to be pretty honest. It's robust, so it's not going to matter too much about if you apply a lot of pressure. Okay, what have we got in here? Okay, so we've got two more figures. Main turret assembly split in half, but otherwise looking good so far. No flash. Older Tamiya figures are a little bit to be desired, we'll be honest. And then what have we got in here? Okay, so we've got the road wheel attachment points. Thankfully it's all moulded, because this would be a bit of a nightmare otherwise. And the outside attachment points for road wheels, some fenders, driver and gunner viewports. I don't smash the camera up. Turret hatches and cupola and mud guards. And then good old Tamiya instructions. So a nice little spiel about the vehicle itself. A picture of the assembled model. So you get 1, 2, 3 crew members, a farmer, a trolley, and a bottle of wine. There's a bottle of wine. I think someone's drunk that. Okay, so good old Tamiya kits, the old style anyway. Really clear, crisp instructions. You can't really go wrong with these, to be honest. They are really, for an old kit, they are really well thought out. They're very clear and precise. Put that back to that one. Same with painting guide. It's a shame the old ones are in black and white rather than in colour. It'd be nice to see them update them. And same with decal placement. Very simple, very straightforward, very to the point, which is really nice. So I will apologise for this being quite a short intro, as my mouth is killing me at the moment because I had oral surgery yesterday. So on with the build. Okay, so Churchill Mk7, despite its teething problems with its mechanics, which they got there eventually and sorted it out, the Mk7 went on to earn a high reputation amongst Second World War British armoured vehicles. It followed in the traditional design of the Mark V, so being a rhomboid shape and its design priority was placed on heavy armour, a wide trench crossing capacity, and the ability to travel across war-torn battlefields. So they very much followed the original concept of the tank, in the idea of they thought the Second World War was potentially going to develop into the same situation as the First World War, being stalemated, tanks being used for infantry support, and that they would be nothing more than that. Its speed was not considered to be essential, as the main role of the Churchill would be an infantry support tank. Named Churchill after Winston Churchill, our Prime Minister during the Second World War, jolly fat man with a cigar, a drinking habit, and a bowler hat. Lovely chap, apparently. So Churchills began to arrive at tank regiments across mid-41, and the Churchill tank is stably classified into several types according to the main armament that was used. So when I say that, so it very much comes down to so things like the Avery, the armoured engineer vehicle that had a 3-inch howitzer attached to it. So bits and bobs like that. And your Crocodile had a some great big flamethrower attached to it. So Mk7. Mk7 was radically different from the earlier models. The hull and turret were completely redesigned. The entire hull was welded rather than being riveted, and the maximum armour thickness was increased from 102mm to 152mm. Consequently, she got heavy, resulting in a reduction from speed from 18 to 13 miles an hour. Turret was redesigned for higher strength and improved productivity. So all four sides of the turret were cast in various thickness, and the roof plate was welded on. So they made it easier to build these things rather than hand build each and every one of them. 75mm was adopted as the main armament for the Mk7, and the first time these guys saw action was D-Day. D-Day. Robart's funnies spring to mind. If you don't know what a Robart funny is, look up a D.D. Sherman. A British officer called Robart basically looked at a bunch of tanks and went, we need something a bit specialised. So we ended up with things like Crocodile, which had a flamethrower attached to it for burning out bunkers, Dustbin Launcher, which launched a projectile the size of a dustbin to crack open bunkers, and the D.D. Sherman, Swimming Sherman, to swim ashore on D-Day, and the Crab, which had a sodding great big flail attached to the front of it to dig out mines on the beaches. So, camo time. Right then, so on with the camouflaging. So before got into spraying it with just generic matte white, I varnished and chipping fluid the model all over with an airbrush. Just generic white all over, good coverage. Not much really else to say about that. So now on with the chipping. Oh no, not on with chipping. So we're on with the exhaust. So the exhaust is using basically real rust. So it comes in 2-part powder, aluminium oxide, and a developer, and it gives some really nice effects. These are track guards, didn't put them on in the end. Tracks, we are using Lead Belcher from Citadel Games, and we're using Agrax Earthshade as the wash. There we go. I couldn't bring up a word. It brings up quite a really nice dark rusty effect with a little bit of the shininess showing through. So this is a watered down 70% mixture of dry step from MIG, and then just dabbing it on to increase the coverage a little bit. Now on with a dark pigment over the exhaust. Now with chipping. So this actually turned out to be a lot harder to do than I had planned, as I left it about 3 days in between, so I had to use a little bit of force while constantly applying water to it. trying to get all the points on the vehicle where either it would have been rubbed off to expose unit markers or constant foot traffic, or where the vehicle was rubbed on the ground, etc, etc. A bit of super glue to hold Dave the driver in. Dave's a naughty boy, and we'll find out in the diorama why. So, yep, going over with a stiff brush, taking off all the white over highlighted areas which are going to be in common use, and a gosh, I don't think what that's called now. Friction pencil, abrasive pencil. There we go, that's the right word. Going around, touching up a little bit all over. Okay, so tracks go on. They're held in place with super glue, both on the actual hull of the vehicle and on the track link itself, like so. The exhaust ones, again, just going over with some lighter liquid pigments to bring out that effect a little bit more. And then we glue the top of the hull on. Voila! A little bit finicking, and some little bits which were a little bit damaged during some of the dry brushing and putting the exhaust on. Debated about putting the cover on or not, but I decided to leave the cover on for this. And now down inside the vehicle, as you can see, yes, the paintbrush is leaving some brown marks, but it's not the end of the world. So once again, going around, anything that's sort of raised objects would be rubbing or come in contact with ground, crew sliding over them, etc, etc, or constant exposure to water, mud. That's why I've taken the paint off. And same, trying to uncover the identification decals. So dry step, watered down variant on the hull of the vehicle on the very lower edges to show where it splashed through mud, etc. Even though these weren't very fast, when you got 40 tons of metal slamming into the ground, even at walking speed, it creates a hell of a splash. So doing the canvas rolls on the side of the turret, using service drive, I believe, top of my head, or British brown. And these are definitely service drive. So the cargo boxes on the back, just touching those up with some service brown to make it look appropriate. There we go. And then the same sit-down paint for the track links on the side of the vehicle. Left these as they were, as I didn't feel rusting them up would be appropriate. It'd be a bit overkill. Same as the tow ropes. I thought it may produce a bit of an overkill effect to the vehicle. I'm very happy with the way it's come out. So just touching those in with a fine brush. Okay, so now speckling with neat step, and then straight in with wet mud, and stippling it on anywhere where big lumps of mud would fall off the tracks, or where the vehicle would actually come into contact with the ground itself. So there we go, on top of the track links, on top of the mud guards, sorry, and around the suspension units. In where the track actually exposed the element after it's come back off the top roller, and then just diluting it down with some thinner, and using a Q-tip or an earbud if you're English, just to water it down and spread the effect a little bit more. Okay, so painting in the black water can on the back, and the two little wooden boxes with leather handles, and the tools. So just using a Rebel wood tone for the tools. They came out a bit brighter than expected, but not the end of the world. And once again, using steel colour for the driver's hatch and gunmetal for the coaxial machine gun. Doing a little bit more touching up, and on goes the leather. Okay, so we're back in with some streaking grime and rust, streaking rust downside the vehicle, and just using the product neat, and then using enamel thinner just to spread the product nicely, and a Q-tip to remove any excess from the model itself. So it may look a bit overkill, but this vehicle is meant to have had a very rough time in its life, and I think it came out rather well. Let's go around now, and now on with the pigments. So this is a rubble pigment from MIG, just general all over coverage of where boot marks, where the crew would be walking, where there wouldn't be water exposure, and I mix it in with European earth as well, so a nice half and half mix, and then just using an enamel thinner to pin it to the vehicle. And now on with the turret, so exactly the same process again with streaking and the rust. Just anywhere where elements of the vehicle would be constantly rubbing or come into contact with bits and bobs and it take little bits of paint off, or for example it's rained and anything that was on the turret's been washed off. And then once again with the pigments, just around the turret, this time I just used the rubber pigment and we space it out nicely. And now, voila!